we been taken for a ride? Did we not know what is
DGCA
happening?
has been taken for a ride. It is because of many reasons. We know that DGCA doesn't have a competent staff. DGCA doesn't have enough staff. Shortage of staff is nothing in all government departments. No one is replacing the retiring staff. And we are a country of millions and billions, and we do not have few hundred pilots or few hundred professionals. We cannot accept that. Only thing, when we are talking today, we should not look at this particular incident. We should see what were the systemic default which we are kept in. You see, we are governed by FA, we are governed by IQ, and FA has clear rule. Any regulation you bring which is very expensive and such, you should have a system of CPA, cost benefit analysis. FA is like DGCA in America, they've got CPA system. And every rule they make, they will have to CPA analysis, and that CPA analysis goes to the finance minister and for acceptance and deliberation, so that they say
It's a good point.
You're talking that financial provision are there. And moreover, now it is a question of keeping all eggs in one basket. 65% you are giving one to one airline that market share. You should have some kind of cap or deeper mechanism that
Okay,
from the
Tushar, it's a good question.
side.
I'm going to come to you with that question. It is a very good question. Someone formed the rules in the DGCA, and just by the way, DGCA is part of this government. It's part of the Civil Aviation Ministry. So we keep saying DGCA, but let's say the government of India, let's say the Civil Aviation Ministry. 2 years ago, someone thought of these rules. These rules are good rules. It means that our pilots are more rested. And can we just put out those rules so that our viewers know exactly what we are talking about? These rules are good rules because it knows that our pilots will be well rested and therefore our flights will be safer, right? Good rules. But was a cost benefit analysis done, Tushar Gupta? Because if it was, we wouldn't have seen this chaos. मतलब ये तो rollback सरकार हो गई ना. आपने वो संचार साथी, who thought of it? You had to roll back. Now you have these pilot rules that were supposed to be implemented. You have not rolled them back, but you have put a stop to them for the next 2 months.
Now, if you're talking about the cost benefit analysis, what do we prefer? A delayed flight, a cancelled flight, or a flight that has crashed? That is what the government had in mind. When AI 171 crashed earlier this year, the one question we all were asking is that what is the government, what is our carriers doing to take care of the fatigue factor which hurts our pilots across the country? And let's be very clear, the government notified these rules in January 2024 because they wanted to align with the international standards. Now, if the government is saying that instead of 6 night landings a week, you can only have 2. If instead of 36 consecutive hours for rest, you can only have 48, and that won't include your leaves, where is the government wrong? And this was before the crash. This was much before the crash. The government understands the kind of movement that is happening in the Indian aviation market. There will be greater demand in the coming years, but that's more the reason to ensure that the pilots' mental health, their fatigue factor is taken into account, and that is what the government suggested. And if the Indigo doesn't want to comply with it, again, that brings me back to the same point. I think it's the time the government gets into the micromanagement of Indigo. There is no other solution. Otherwise, the government has very limited options. I don't want to get into the part where once upon a time, a government ended up nationalizing a private airline. That's a ridiculous idea. But if the private carrier is not even thinking about the pilots, forget the passengers, the government will have to start micromanaging it. There is no other solution.
Saral, therefore I come to you. We've seen a lot of sound bites come to us from Parliament.